In translation, the knees of the universal form, are the planetary system of the name Sutala. And the two thighs are the Vitala and Atala planetary system. The hips are the Mahītala, and outer space is the depression of his navel. In 128, we're also doing Ura Stalam Jyotir Anikam Asya. Oh, change the accent here. Uru Stalam Jyotir Anikam Asya Griva Mahar Badanam Vajanosi Tapo Varatim Vidur Adipumsa Satyam Tu Shirshani Sahasra Shirshna. Uru Stalam Jyotirani Kamasya Griva Maharvadanam Vajanosya Tapo Varatim Viduradi Pumsam Satyam Tushishir Sahasra Sirna. Translation: the chest of the original personality of the gigantic form is the luminary planetary systems. His neck is the Mahar planets. His mouth somewhere here, is the Janas planets, and his forehead is the Tapas planetary system. The topmost planetary system, known as Satyaloka, is the head of he who has 1,000 heads. And give me 1 second here, I'll walk over and close the curtain because we're getting a reflected light. Okay, wow, it's better. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, going right ahead here. So translation. So before this, it's actually a series of 3 verses, 26, and we did 27 and 28. But before this is talking about persons who have realized it. Oh my God! Don't do that. Back up. Okay. Persons who have realized it have studied that the planets, known as Patala, constitute the bottoms of the feet of the universal lords. Okay. And the heels and the toes are the Rasatala planets, heels and toes. The ankles are the Mahītala planets, and his shanks constitute the Tala planets. So 26, 27, 28. So then we made a little list here of the order as we find the Bhagavatam, and here's Abraham Lincoln with his feet, shanks, thighs, whatever. A respectful person, I guess. Patala are the soles, if you can see our graphic here. Rasatala, we go to the heels and toes. Mahītala are the ankles, Talatala, shanks, Sutala, knees, Vitala, Atala, thighs, Mahītala, hips, Navastalam, outer space, is the navel. So we go from hip to navels. Sura Chandraloka, Sura and Chandraloka are the chest. Sura and Chandraloka, Surya. Maharloka is the neck. Janaloka is the mouth. Tapasyaloka is the forehead, and Satyaloka is the head. Okay, so pretty much got the whole form. Patala, Rasatala, Mahītala, Talatala, Sutala, Vitala, Atala, Mahītala, Avastala, Surya, Chandraloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. So sometimes we hear about the 14 worlds. Choda Bhuvana Majje. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there's nothing to be had in the 14 worlds but the holy name. And so as far as our comprehension, this goes like coming downwards. Number 1 is Brahmaloka, and then 2, 3, 4 are Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Maharloka. Okay. Then number 5 is Svargaloka, and then Bhuva, Bur, and then the 7 talas, which we just discussed. Patala, Rasatala, Mahītala, Talatala, Sutala, Vitala, Atala, and Mahītala. So there's seven worlds below us. We're in Bormandal, and the Gayatri mantra, of course, has the three worlds. This is the 14 worlds, but sometimes the three worlds are described as Bor, Bhuva, Swa. And the Surya Gayatri is universally known as, mentions those three, Bor, Bhuva, and Swa. So Bor, Bhuva, Swa is, the Mahātala Swami describes it as our earth, the earth where we walk around and do our business. And Bhuva is the sky, and that's where the fairies, the Gandharva Loka, Kinnaras, Apsaras, they're on that level of consciousness and existence. Then Swarga is heaven, whereas Indra, Chandra, Varuna, all these people. So these three are pretty much, we're involved with these, Bor, Bhuva, Swa. And below us are seven talas, Palatala, Sutala. Then, of course, this will be discussed more. It's discussed again and again, but it'll be discussed more in the what do you call it? In the 5th canto, I think the most detailed, of course. And there, I think between 7 and 8, that's where is Bilva Svarga. Swarga, of course, is heavenly enjoyment, but Bilva Swarga are the subterranean heavenly planets. Subterranean heavenly planets, and those are kind of like I guess what's it called, Jamaica or Monte Carlo or Las Vegas, Lake Tahoe on the Nevada side. And if you go to like Las Vegas, it's a subterranean heavenly planet. In Bilva Swarga, there's more enjoyment, more sensuous gratification than there is in Swarga, in heaven. So if you go to places like Las Vegas, and they have gigantic, pyramids and copies of this and that, and it just comes up right out of the desert. If you're passing through there on an airplane, you're just flying over the desert, then all of a sudden, the distance, this whole, thing rises up out of nowhere. And of course, you can stay in those places for 24 hours a day. There's no light. They're gigantic. You can go from this show to that show, to this gaming area, to that gaming area, to this swimming pool, to this massage area, to meet your friends, and so for business programs. So and never see the sunlight. This is Bilva Swarga, and all four illicit principles are legal there. So this is between. It's lower than the earth, but above the 7 talas. Now hell, let's see, Suchimukha, what do we got? Kumbhipaka. And I can't right now put them right into my cosmology, but they're somewhere down there. And as you go down, life gets faster and shorter. So we have like the lives of different, what do you call these guys, termites, and ants, and they engage in huge wars, fighting each other over tasty rotten wood, like that. The termites don't eat the wood; they eat the fungus growing in the wood when it's wet, and the wood, I guess, is kind of get out of the way. But of course, this is all being carried on in darkness, and it's like these predictions of the future Earth with giant hellish war machines and people with body robots, and these different species of insects, they attack each other, and some have giant choppers. They can just chop their opponents' legs off, and then they can shoot an anticoagulant on them so they'll bleed to death. So they're attacking, chopping, and spitting. But the other guys can shoot acid into the eyes of the choppers. So it's just like everything you dreamed of, And of course, it's all being carried on in the dark. And the lifespan is short. Maybe like a few months, everything. So it's described that Yamaraj has unlimited number of planets under his jurisdiction. You know? So Yamaraj is just like Santa Claus. He's checking to see who's been naughty and who's been nice. And when you die, he has a whole selection of reformatory experiences to get you back in shape. You know, stretch you this way, stretch you that way. You know, and after you go through Yamaraj's auto repair shop, you come out looking new, and you're ready to go off and enjoy again. You know? So somewhere those fit in there, and maybe someone else later on can inform us. But then Bor, where we live, Bhuba, where the fairies live, Swarga, where Indra lives, then Mahar, Tapa, and Jana. I think that's the order. Yeah. And these are kind of grouped together because Swarga is, I guess, like still kind of like mental gratification, just enjoying yourself, unlimited mental pleasures. Yeah. Yeah. But when you come to Mahar Loka, Jana Loka, Tapa Loka, that's where it becomes just like very, very full of ethics, morality, you know, moral laws, and I guess ethical considerations. And you really get in these subtleties of what is heroism, what is truth, what is right, what is wrong, you know, and this very intellectual place. And there's no suffering there, excuse me, except for compassion. They feel compassion for those in the lower planetary systems. Of course, this is very great detail described in when Gopal Kumar goes to heaven. That's Sanatana Goswami's Brihat Bhagavatamrita, published by the BBT. Yeah. So we can see all these things, and there in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, it gives there's Laghu Bhagavatamrita in Brihat, I guess. It gives nice practical discussions in terms of like our current age, because all these presentations by Sukadeva Goswami are 5,000 years ago. And the whole atmosphere was different. It's just like, you know, the fall. And we saw it here in Tennessee. All the leaves. First, the leaves had the trees had leaves. 2 leaves in front of our office. They're all green, and then they changed color. And one changed one way, another changed the other way, and it was very beautiful. And then a big windstorm came after some time, and within 2 or 3 days, it blew off all the leaves. And all the ground was covered with leaves, you know. So very quick, we went from summer to fall to winter. Now those same trees, you wouldn't kind of like recognize them because now they're just sticks, you know, like that. Yeah. And so this is what happens when we go from Dwapara Yuga to Kali Yuga. So many things actually change their form, change their vitality. And they're just different, you know, so on. So the winter version of an apple tree is very different than the spring, summer, or fall version of an apple tree. You know, yeah. So Mahar Loka, Jana Loka, Tapa Loka, very subtle. And description in the 5th canto, and I think in Brihat Bhagavatamrita, more detailed description. And of course, that's being given, again, by somebody who's talking about it just within the last 500 years. So in some ways, much more accessible to our comprehension. So again, Sukadeva Goswami and all the things we're seeing in the Bhagavatam are being described 5,000 years ago. And of course, some of them took place, millions of years ago. And so for even in that terms, it's just the Bhagavatam to Brahma is just 4 verses, you know. And so Sukadeva Goswami was, adjusting things for Maharaj Pariksit. Otherwise, he would have met Maharaj Pariksit, and the whole Bhagavatam would have been finished in 4 verses, you know. Yeah. Then finally, Brahma Loka, where Lord Brahma lives, and those yogis who are Hiranyagarbha yogis, which is, I guess, 1 step above the Virat Rup and 1 step below the Paramatma. Yeah. They realize that. You know. They go to Brahmaloka also, and there Lord Brahma can see Garbhodakshay Vishnu the same way we can see the deities on the altar, like during Mangalartik, during Shringartik. He directly sees Garbhodakshay Vishnu from a very respectful position, like that. The pleasures on Brahmaloka are indescribable in mundane words. You know. I think I calculated this one time. It'd be good to go through someone to do this, you know. But if we go ahead and look at the time relationships, as I remember, it's like to the fairies, the Apsaras, the Gandharvas, the Kinnaras, Charanas, we look like rats. You know, and in one lifetime, you may make some friendship with some chipmunk, and every day or something, you know, as a child, and giving food, and the chipmunk comes, and the chipmunk's children also learn to come. So you may go through, like, you know, one lifetime associating with this family of chipmunks, and may even teach them how to do things and protect them from a fox and, you know, or some diseases. So that may be something like, I guess, maybe like a chipmunk's lives like 6 years or something, you know. So if you live to be 66 years or 70 years, maybe you'll go through 10 generations, you know, the sons, the grandsons, the great-grandsons, the great-great-great-grandsons, the great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandsons. So that different places in the world, we see different, like, places where people can get special medical results, you know, or different waterfall places, and some people have contact with the Gandharvas or things that live there, and they can transfer power. So that's kind of the relationship. We're like kind of like chipmunks. We have our burrows, we have our civilization, our association, you know, our language even. You know. But that's how we look to the Gandharvas. The duration of our lifespan, the level of our intelligence. Boy. And if we go to Swarga, the Indraloka, then we look like cockroaches. You know, again, maybe we live like, you know, 2 months, you know, rather than 7 years. You know. And we have cockroaches. They have their societies, their civilizations, their habits. You know. And finally, to Brahmaloka, Lord Brahma, we look like atoms and molecules. You know, atoms and molecules, you know, coming together, you know, and coming and going like that. So it's all some kind. So this is what we're capable of. The soul, the Atma, is capable of residing on any of these different 14 or 3 different worlds. I've seen different descriptions too of what's going on here and there. I've heard Prabhu said that Jesus Christ probably came from, like, you know, Mahar Loka, Tapa Loka, Jana Loka, and even there are things in the Bible that kind of indicate that. Okay. Now here's something else too, because we're talking about word by word. We're talking about Loka, Brahma Loka, Indra Loka, and this word is also a very similar word in Latin, which is locus. And they say like 15 to 35, 25, 15 to 25 to 1535, something. Old Latin is stlokas, a place. You know? And in mathematics, for example, you use this word loka. You know? A parabola is the locus of points equidistant from a single line and a point. You know? So you take some line here, there we go, okay, and you'll see that the distance from this line, you know, to this point is the same, you know, and so that makes the whole set of points. It's all these points that have the same distance from the line, anywhere on the line. Of course, as you go up the line, now you can have 3, you know, 1, 2, 3.5. Okay, at least if that's down to here is 3. But that's, I guess over here we have the idea here, right? Okay, you know, something like that. Okay, maybe the points minus 1. You got me, you know, plus 1. But anyway, that's the basic idea. Is just you draw a line, and then all the points that will have the same distance from that line and from a given point. What are they? it's not just one point, it's a whole locus of points. A circle is the locus of all points equidistant from one point. An ellipse is like a stretched circle, so it has two centers. And an ellipse is the locus of all points. The sum of the distance from 2 points is a constant. Okay. Stick 2 push pins into a piece of wood. Tie a piece of yarn loosely from them, the exact length you want. Stretch it out with a pencil or a crayon. And now then just move it around, and all the points you can draw with that stretched string from those 2 points, you'll get an ellipse. Carpenters know this. So all you got to do is pick the distance between the two centers and the length of your string, and that will determine the shape of your ellipse. Okay. So I'm going into all this to try to communicate this Sanskrit word loka, because Prabhu translates it as planet. And I think the word planet means something different to him. The word planet to us means a dirt ball moving around in outer space, where NASA is trying to land. Okay, like Brihaspati Lok, that's Jupiter. So we say, okay, Jupiter's a very big dirt ball and it has smaller dirt balls going around it. But that's how we experience it from the Bhumando, from our earth level of perception, consciousness, awareness. It's just like, again, if somebody who's deaf goes into a room and there's a lecture going on, there'll be a person that maybe nothing happening, nothing happening. It's because they can't perceive on that level. So, and simultaneously around us right now, probably all of us, we're surrounded by cell phone conversations, and cell phones. So many electromagnetic conversations, television channels. So many things are going on around us, but we're not in that level of consciousness. So Mahaloka, Palaloka, these are all different realms, different domains, and how we say higher or lower, again, it doesn't mean in terms of generally our Euclidean space that we use to organize Bhumando. There are many different kinds of spaces. Actually, you can make a space based upon parabolas. We use rectilinear XY, which is Euclidean space. Japanese people are born and they grow up in circular space, polar space. But you can actually make a space which is designed like this. And then the shortest distance from here to here is going to be along the parabola, like that. Which in certain cases is actually shorter or more accommodating than Euclidean space. So even mathematicians in the West, these jnanis, they begin to appreciate that space is something created. And so when we're talking about lower planetary system, higher planetary systems, when I was a little child, I mentioned this before, my brother was digging to plant some seeds, and I was sitting there looking, and he was digging kind of deep, and I was afraid the devil was going to come out. It was like watching with a fair amount of apprehension, because that's where the devil is. The devil is down below, But it's a lower level of consciousness. It's a lower level of mental activity or something. What are the dimensions? Of course, dimensia means two measurements. Right away, we're talking about Euclidean space and dimension. Here's one dimension, minus 2 plus 2. Other dimension is y, is minus 1 plus 4. Okay, xy. So you start to get into this. At least the idea is to understand that it's not some crazy, Hindu idea that, well, I went down to the South Pole and I looked and I didn't see an Antasasya. You're supposed to be under the earth. I'm a heart surgeon. I've cut open the heart many times. I never saw the soul. Like that. No, it's talking about different way of measuring, what is higher and what is lower, and on different levels of different kinds of perception like that. So I think this is hopefully enough. Move on here. Okay, actually come to purport. Prabhu says, the effulgent luminary planets, like sun and moon, are situated almost in the mid-place of the universe. Yeah. So I would say mid-place is stomach, but Prabhupada's taking it as the chest. Again, it's interesting. I'm a little more low down in my consciousness. Almost in the mid-place of the universe, and as such, they are to be known as the chest of the original gigantic form. So I think we take the body as standing up, but these guys take the body as sitting down. If you sit down and put your legs into a lotus posture, then the middle, is the chest. The stomach's almost on the bottom like that. Yeah. So we're so passionate, we've got to be on our feet. Okay. And above the luminary planets, called also the heavenly places of the universal directorate demigods, are Mahar, Janas, and Tapas lokas. We got Janas Priya Das here. So what does that mean? I guess that means that Priya or Priya? Janas Priya would be dear to the Jana people. Yeah, actually dear to the people. Yeah. But anyway, Janas Loka, Mahar Loka, Janas Loka, Tapas Loka. And above all, the Satyaloka planetary system, where the chief directors of the modes of material nature reside, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Of course, there are more and more details about this in the 5th canto and so on. And let's go on here. Okay. This Vishnu, which is the one perceivable on Brahmaloka, is the Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and he acts as the super soul in every living being. Yeah. So sometimes Prabhupada also calls him impersonal Vishnu, because people, they realize the triune, the Trimurti, the triune deities, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Atri Muni was on this level. He couldn't really distinguish who was the supreme. So at this point, Vishnu is kind of like impersonal. Again, it's like you can see President Barack Obama at some convention, this and that. You're there with maybe like 2,000 more people. So he's there as a person. You can see he's moving. You can see this and that. But it's still quite impersonal. There's no like a personal relationship. Okay, so this is Vishnu and the Super Soul, Kshirodakshai. There are innumerable universes floating on the causal ocean. And in each of them, the representation of the Virat form of the Lord is there, along with innumerable suns, moons, heavenly demigods, Brahmas, Vishnus, and Shivas. So again, this, I guess, when it's time for creation, the causal ocean is not manifest all the time. When the material energy is eternal, it always exists. But when it's in a non-manifested form, then it's like it's called pradhan. Just like I have my fist closed up tight. Okay. Now you can't see the different fingers. If I manifest it, I can turn it into a cup for holding water. I can turn it into a pointer for pointing directions out. I can hold a pen with it. So I can make different communicative sign language symbols with it. Some of which are known to everybody, or some of which are known to people who speak sign language. And so that's all there, but it's not manifest. So that's the pradhan. And it's always there with Mahavishnu. But then, sometime, somehow or other, it says, by chance, okay, Mahavishnu then breathes out. And of course, every time we breathe out, there's so many little, drops of perspiration, tiny drops of perspiration are there. If you breathe on a cold mirror, you can see them. And out of the pores of our body also. There's also always perspiration going on. So how small are those drops? They're infinitesimal. We can't see them even. But each of those is a universe. And somehow or other they float on the causal ocean, which is also called the river Viraj. And we got one more here. causal ocean, river viraj. Okay, probably somebody else, probably Dugda will know this later on, will tell us. Causal ocean, river viraj, come on, what's the third one? I can't remember what it is. It has three different names, you know. But that's kind of the boundary. Maybe that's where cause and effect starts. And before that, there's only love. But now we got, you know, doing things for a purpose, you know, some result. Yeah. So they're all floating there. And then Mahavishnu expands himself as Garbhodakshay Vishnu and enters into each one. You know, it's like, you know, kind of like a reflection of Mahavishnu in all these little mirrors. And then so he's also a Paramatma. He's kind of like the Paramatma of the universe, like the soul is the Paramatma of our body. We are the Paramatma of this body. The pilot is the Paramatma of the 747. But then he expands himself as Kshirodakshay Vishnu. And this is like all the stewardesses and the steward eyes and, you know, going up and down and doing all the individual relationship with each individual, you know, jiva. So all the hands are his hands. All the heads are his heads. You know, all the legs are his legs. Sahasra Sirsa, Sahasraksha, Sahasrapat. That's the Purusa Sukta. And it's saying he has thousands of hands, thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, like that. Yeah, yeah. So this is this Vishnu. He's the puppeteer inside the glove. The glove with all the little finger puppets on it is not going to do anything without the puppeteer inside. So this Vishnu is everywhere like that. And the Virat Roop is one of the manifestations. Okay, boy, how's it go? Looking at it as far as we understand, the Kshirodakshay Vishnu, on him is the Hiranyagarbha form, the golden egg, and on that is the Virat Roop, which is described as the legs. You know, the Mahītala are his legs, the so-and-so are his so-and-so, like that. Yeah. Okay, let's go on. All of them are situated in one part of the inconceivable potency of Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, 10:42. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So Krishna says, I am the lion, I am the mountain, I am this, I am that. And they're very good. They make us wake up. You know, I'm God. Yeah, are you the lion? Well, I'm not the lion. Okay, then you're not God. Okay. But at the end of this pantheism, Arjuna says that he's the Paramatma. He goes to mysticism. This is Bhagavad Gita 10. And then the next chapter, Arjuna says, O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. So Krishna in 10:42 says, I'm pervading, I'm the Paramatma. In 11:3, Arjuna says, hey, let me see that. Yeah. And there's this universal form, which is the Virat Roop, the Paramatma, and that kind of stuff. Okay. Then I guess this is, what is this? This is Srimad Bhagavatam 4:23. Oh yeah. So in our Bhakti by Baba program, which we're trying to pioneer here and, you know, we're up to the 4th canto now. So I guess within next year, after next year, we'll all be Bhakti by Babans like that, and trying to see that we actually have some knowledge. You know, it's a real struggle establishing a whole university of Bhagavad culture. So there, in Maharaj, what is that's going to be? That's Maharaj Prithu goes back to Godhead. It's describing the same thing. And the Kumara is giving these instructions, and he applies them. So we see them very nicely, you know. And you can see all the parallels. You can see the different angles, how this thing's supposed to work from different angles. So it says in 4:23:16, in terms of Maharaj, what Maharaj Prithu is leaving his body. The words yata stanam vibhagashaha, Prabhu says in the purport, indicate that one should know the process of creation and should meditate upon the creative process inversely and thus become free from material contamination. So all these discussions we're going through, they're 5,000 years old. Prabhupada's taking the time to write purports to the Kali Yuga. But we have to actually appreciate this. You know? Somebody who's cooking, they're in their kitchen, and they're cooking and they're making bread. They're beginning to realize, okay, add the water, it does this and that. And somebody else does it through Ayurveda. Somebody else does it through, through Gandharva Veda. Mostly our Veda is Gandharva Veda, singing, chanting, dancing. And we begin to realize how the prana is flowing. We're trying to play the drums. We're trying to do this, trying to get the proper tone. We're realizing how I have to feel the tone of my body to get the proper tone and to express the feeling. So Bhakti Yoga means we got the goal in sight, but we're going through all these different things. Karma Mishra, Bhakti Yoga. Jnana Mishra, Bhakti Yoga. Dhyana Mishra, Bhakti Yoga. And then Bhakti Yoga, Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti. There's so many levels. So if we don't know our level, how are we going to take the proper medicine? How are we going to advance to the next stage like that? And so we get different things too. We get all expense paid, free vacations to Goloka every 5 years. I mean, like that. And we get all expense free paid vacation to Swarga every week. Chant Hare Krishna, and we honor prasadam properly, and we really get in a celestial level of consciousness, and we're really enjoying prasadam, enjoying getting up, So Swarga, ISKCON Swarga. So we have to appreciate these different levels, and by the mercy of Krishna, sometimes we get these very higher things. And the real process, Prabhupada says, we have to do it. We have to fold the water back into the earth back into the fire. Fire back into the air back into the sound back into the mind back into the intelligence back into the false ego back into the Mahatattva, and the Mahatattva back, that's it, back into Mahavishnu. We're out of the clown suit. Pretty slick graphic, huh? Monkey and Piggy do my PowerPoint shows. You can hire them. Okay, going on here. So one last thing I got here. This is kind of interesting. If you look on the old Wikipedia, the tottering knowledge of tottering platform of universal knowledge. I pay $50 a year for the Britannica, and it's actually worth it. I think as you understand, they asked the director of the Britannica what he thought about the Wikipedia. And he said, I use it, He said, the Wikipedia is like the chisel, and the Britannica is like a drill. Wikipedia can give you general knowledge about things, and not always so reliable. And the Britannica is much more reliable and focused. One time I looked up, what's it called, carbon dating on the Wikipedia, and got some pretty good perspective. Then I went to the Britannica. It was, more careful, more guided. And they had some links which they accepted, which gave me a pretty solid platform to argue about, carbon dating and how you can't use it to deny the existence of the previous yugas. They admit very serious flaws with carbon dating. So another one is the Gaia hypothesis. Gaia means earth in Greek philosophy. So it says the Gaia hypothesis proposes that organisms interact with their inorganic surroundings on Earth to form a self-regulating, complex system that contributes to maintaining the conditions for life on the planet. And so there are two people that were really responsible for this, one lady and one man. And it really is very interesting because basically they don't want to lose their scientific credibility, but everybody takes it and they don't really deny it that much. But actually, you're looking at it this way, you can look at the Earth as in just as much a living entity as we are. All the characteristics that science will attribute to the human body are there in the Earth. And just like we have different bacteria and stuff in our stomachs, each blood cell is a different little living entity. So we're running around on the Earth. And if we're acting properly, we see this very nice, what's the word, like a harmony between the earth and the human beings and the frogs and some big bacteria that spread for miles in the earth, like that. So the gay hypothesis becomes a very, nice way, and sometimes to relate to a lot of people to explain this Vratru conception. Okay, so thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And our webpage address is there with our newsletter. So any comments, questions, complaints?
Maharaj, I tell you, that was a fantastic class. Even though I wasn't listening too closely, I'm happy we recorded this. That was really, really outstanding. I'm still working on that. Okay, now I've done it. So, if anyone has any questions or comments?
Who is this? Oh, impersonal voice. Who are you? Can you talk a little louder?
Yes. Can you hear me better now?
It's better, yeah.
Okay, so I have two questions. One is that sometimes we hear two opinions in ISKCON about how devotees, how we can go back to spiritual world. And one opinion is that the only way is from the Earth planet. Can even given comparison with like a skyscraper that doors are on the bottom, and that door is Earth planet. That there is no another way to get into spiritual world. And another opinion that we still may go to higher planetary systems where sages are living, and then progress from there. So what's your opinion on that?
No, for example, Prabhupada says, we're just reading that even those people in the Brahma Jyoti, what to speak of the earth, out of them, here in the Brahma Jyoti, there are people sitting there meditating, whatever. Sometimes when they hear the Sankirtan parties going from Vaikuntha, Goloka, down to preach in the material world, they become attracted by the kirtan, and they progress then, like that, and they go back to Godhead. But Prabhupada said it's not so normal, like that. And then it's described, that when Lord Brahma, Lord Kapila says, at the end of the universe, and when Brahma goes back to Godhead, and everybody else goes with him. But there's different possibilities, of going back. Because in so many places it's describing people going back in different places like that. You go to Shiva, and then from Shiva Loka you can go up also. But the earth is a very nice place. It's Punya Bhumi. A very, very nice place to acquire all these different, pious qualities and pious activities. And hell is too distracting because there are too many problems, And heaven is too distracting because there are too many pleasures, So it's very difficult to do the work, But if you go to Swarga, for example, like we're talking about Las Vegas, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating are all legal. The government actually regulates them there. But there are people there who are not engaged in that. There's even an ISKCON temple there. So it's possible to go back to Godhead in Las Vegas. If you're looking for the right thing, if you have the right motivation, the right, what's the word, Spanish word, transfondo, the right background of spiritual, pious activities. So that's my understanding of so many citations. And you can do it, but the most practical place is Bhumandal, where we are.
I see. Thank you so much. I just didn't know Prabhupada's references. Okay, so another question was, if I can quickly ask, and then that sometimes, of course, we're hearing that it says that in Kali Yuga that we have to be responsible for our actions and not for our thoughts. On another hand, for devotees, you mentioned about consciousness and the sound. It's everything is made from sound, as we know, and then we have to change ourselves by sound, by chanting the Maha mantra. So I forgot the Sanskrit names for those three types of sound. One I remember, it's Vaikavi. I'm sorry, I forgot the Sanskrit names. But in other words, that our thoughts also a type of sound, and a desire is a type of sound. It's a subtle levels of sound. Pashyanti vak, and then another two I forgot. So it looks like we should be responsible for our thoughts.
Yeah, oh boy. Because, for example, when you Gopal Kumar, like, you know, do you have the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, the DBT books?
Yes.
Yeah, they're nice, you know, they go through them. So, right, he leaves the material world, right? But then he has to go through these 7 coverings, you know, starting with earth, and then like that. Each one's 7 times thicker, like that, you know. And then he sees a different deity. For example, when they're going through the earth, the predominating deity is Varaha, and the principal worshipper is Bhumi, like that, Mother Earth. And they invite him to stay there, and he thinks it's so nice. You can worship Krishna, this and that, but it's a subtle attachment, you know. So it's kind of like, my understanding, you know, is that, describing all this, is that you can think about sounds, and you can vibrate those sounds through your gross apparatus. You know? And there are different studies in this in psychology that, I think Sadaputa was getting into this, that if you say something forward, it may be including something else backwards. And there are actually even studies of this, you know. And so if you have some thought bouncing around in your mind, you can see sometimes the thoughts are just conceptions. It's just an understanding. You see something, and suddenly you understand what's happening. Oh, okay, yeah. And but then after that, it may go and form into like a linear series of ideas. You know? And then after that, then you may want to form it into a dance motion, or you may want to form it into a visual sequence, or you may want to form it into an acoustical sequence. Even if you're talking about visual, somebody's smashing your microphone. Don't smash your microphone, it makes noise. Yeah. So dancers, for example, they can memorize like 2-3 minutes of a dance. MA, PhD students, we used to teach them in the universities, our Manipuri stuff, and they were just amazing because they were oriented towards touch. And somebody else is oriented towards sound, somebody else is oriented towards visual, you know. And you can see that different ones are more gross, you know. So, for example, the essence of dance is music. And so people that are dancers, they'll use the music and stuff to hang the tactile motions and stuff on, like that, you know. So at that level, it can still be in the mind. In the mind, you can be dancing at a very subtle level, or you can make it into the point where if it comes in contact with the senses, it just manifests itself. Thinking, feeling, willing. You know? So yeah, but at what point, as far as I know, there's no karma until the indriya are activated. You know, you can be just looking at the cake, and even though you know it has eggs, you're looking at it and meditating on it, and thinking the eggs are making it fluffy, and you're subtly tasting it, and your tongue is watering, and, you know, saliva is coming in your mouth. Okay, you still don't get it, but the second you reach for it, you know, okay, karma. Yeah. But that's why we got to be careful, because if we're thinking about this and everything else, hey, it's very easy then to have the senses become uncontrollably activated. So if we don't even think about it, you know, then you see it's, you know, actually our good friend, what's his name, from Alachua, he's not here today, Madan Mohan, he talked about that sometimes you see some maya, and your mind goes, oh, it looks like maya. Let me look a little closer. Yep, it's maya. Oh, let me look even a little more closer. Yeah, it's Maya. I better reject it. So, Buddhist phrase, a good horse runs even at the shadow of a whip. So even a little bit of this is Maya. You don't even go on and investigate anymore. That's enough for me, just to smell. I haven't got to feel it. I haven't got to stick it in my mouth. No, it's Maya. So different levels and different levels of security. That's what I would understand. It really is when the senses become activated, we get the karma. But before that, we're just thinking about eating, thinking about talking.
I have a thought on that, and that is, that's true. There may not be specifically karma as a result of one's thinking if you don't go to the point of actually acting on it, but it still can it can certainly greatly impede one's spiritual life, even if he doesn't act on it, if he's simply meditating upon it. And there's that important verse in the Gita where Krishna says, Karmindriyani sangyam, what is it? Karmindriyani sangyam yaaste manasaksmaram indriyatam vimudhatma mechatasa uchate. Krishna says that if one is dutifully restraining his senses, but at the same time his mind is dwelling upon those objects, he dilutes himself, and mechatasa uchate, he's called a pretender. So it's very pleasing to Krishna. Krishna's listening in. It's a three-way. It's sort of a three-way conversation, if you will. Ourself and our mind, which we're not controlling, and Krishna's privy to that, and it's very displeasing to Krishna.
Disturbing, huh? Horrible. And then you build up that intelligence, and find that intelligence becomes so strong that you can't control it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the inevitable. If at some point you don't cut it off, you're going to act on it. But even if you don't act on it, you're not creating karma, but you're greatly impeding your spiritual life.
Yeah, you're not developing your spiritual life. Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Hare Krishna, this is Balabhadra.
Hare Krishna.
Just and the comments to what has just been shared, plus a question on another point altogether. I have read, and I believe I read it in the Mahabharata, where it is said that in Satya Yuga you get no karma for thinking piously, but you get the reactions if you think impiously, because in Satya Yuga, impious thoughts shouldn't be occurring. And then it says in Kali Yuga, you get the karma for thinking piously, but you do not get the karma for thinking impiously, because impious thoughts are rampant in Kali Yuga.
Kali Yuga ki jai.
What is a Shastric reference? I've never heard that.
I've read it. I have actually read it in
Prabhupada's books?
In Mahabharata. Well, it's in one of the Mahabharats, and I think it's one that was printed by. I got it right. I'd have to leave the microphone to go get it. But it's been printed by one of the devotees, not.
And wait, Torchlight.
I got a phone call telling you at the same time.
Okay.
But I have read it, and I'll have to research where I've read that, but I have read it.
Okay.
But Maharaj, in getting back to your class per se, because we're discussing the arrangement of the planetary systems, it's my understanding, and there's evidence of this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that when the demons go to battle with the demigods, they want to control the kingdom of heaven. They want to be the directors of the universe themselves, but they're never really interested in going beyond Indraloka. They're never interested in going beyond Svargaloka. They're never interested in Brahmaloka and those other higher planets, because there's no sense gratification there. Is that a correct understanding, or what?
No, well, we see that Indra took charge of. Hiranyakasipu took charge of Indra's throne, right? So Svarga, they want to conquer Svarga, but it's like, they just have no interest in the Grand Canyon or Yosemite Park, this kind of stuff. They're interested in Las Vegas and and that kind of stuff. So they exist, but they see no reason to conquer them. You know, in a sense, because like you're saying, that their interests are is gratification. So yeah, usually they conquer Swarga. My experience in the Bhagavatam, and of course Hiranyakasipu directly took over Indra's throne and was sitting on it, and Bali Maharaj too. Also conquered Amaravati. Hare Krishna. There's a great silence. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, I loved your description about the world, the hellish world of the insects.
Okay.
It really puts in perspective, what kind of a hell that is.
You can find it in National Geographic. Look up National Geographic, you find the whole description.
Yeah, we're trying to imitate the insects world, This world becoming more and more hellish, with more lethal killing machines.
Yeah, and they already exist. So now the U.S. Army will start studying warrior ants. Yeah.
We were just reading in Bhagavad Gita, Neha Bhikarma Nashasti Pratyavayan, and the greatest type of fear is to go back into the lower species of life. That was shocking.
Wow. You're being educated at heart there, but it's influencing your gigantic heart, beating on it, but there's no conscious education. And we're just like watching forced to watch horror movies, that kind of stuff, one after another. Wow. Yeah. So I guess it's about all here. We're in Tennessee still. We'll be here until December, and we see at one point it was you see again and again and again and again. There's instructions by somebody how to become self-realized. And then many times that person then later on applies that, and becomes self-realized. For example, like Vidura preaches to Dhritarashtra, then Dhritarashtra goes and applies it. And a lot of the Bhagavatam is, of course, really this mystic yoga process. A lot of it's there. But it was spoken 5,000 years ago, and many times in the purports, then Prabhupada, for example, says these prayers of Lord Shiva to the Prachetas are very nice. Devotees can recite these. But principally speaking, we should do kirtan. Like that. We shouldn't go underwater, try and go underwater and meditate on this very long prayer every day, again and again, chanting it. And we should stay above water and chant and dance. And so, therefore, the Bhagavatam is very important. The purports are very important. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is then, like a Bhagavatam class. And so, if we can go ahead and start to having our classes and our discussions on Chaitanya Charitamrita, so nice. And then Nectar of Devotion then becomes like an extract of the whole thing, a concentrated discussion of all the books in just one, in 1,700 verses or something like that. And Upadeshamrita, of course, in 11 verses. So finding our place in the Bhaktivedanta library, developing the Bhagavat University of Bhagavat culture, and then trying to get the result, personally, of becoming purified, so we can participate in the Sankirtan movement better, and also so we can save our own Mahītala, Sutala, and they didn't go into the backside there. What is it? Oh, they have that someplace. The backside of the universal form is this or that or something, So we're trying to get all these things, save all these things, and go back to Godhead. So thank you very much, everybody, for your association. I guess
Maharaj?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Just one last point here, totally irrelevant to today's class and discussion.
Jai, Harimo.
But it's relevant to last week's class that you gave.
Okay.
Did you get that email that I sent you a couple of days ago?
I didn't get anything. No.
Actually, it wasn't an email. It was on your website.
That takes a little longer.
I found the reference for that A-U-M, A Krishna, U Radharani, and M living entity. It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's in Prabhupada's purport, 7th chapter of Adi Lila, verse 128. There's a very extensive purport, and that's where it's explained.
7, 128. So 128
Adalila, yeah. Adalila, 7, 128.
2 times 64. 64 is 2 times 32. 32 is 2 times 16. 16 is 2 times 8. 8 is 2 times 4. And 4 is 2 times 2. So it's Adilila chapter 7, 2 to the 7th power, which is 128. Adi 7.
Adi 7, 128. Yeah, it's a very sensitive purport, and he talks a great deal about Omkar throughout the entire purport.
Yeah.
And that's where he says A is Krishna, U is Radharani, and M is the living entity.
Well, we got it.
We got it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're connected to Krishna through Radharani. Thank you all so very much. All Gracious Prabhupada.
Haribol.
Thank you, Maharaj, for a wonderful class.
Very nice. Haribol.
Haribol.
We'll see you all soon.
Haribol.